that WeWork might seek a valuation of $10 to $12 billion from the IPO, which would mean it would be valued at less than the $12.8 billion it's raised since being founded in 2010. That's according to Crunchbase. It would also be a blow to WeWork's biggest backer, SoftBank, which has reportedly been pushing for the IPO to be delayed. The Financial Times says that WeWork will hold a company-wide webcast for employees this morning. Don, we'll have to see if any news comes out of that. I suspect there will be. I'll send it back to you.
All right, thank you very much, Rahel Solomon. When we come back on the show, much more on the Saudi oil strikes and the impact on the U.S. energy patch with Cheniere CEO Jack Fusco. But first, President Trump once again dialing up the pressure on Fed Chairman Jay Powell. What investors are saying, that's coming up next. And then later on, you've heard of fake Twitter accounts, but what about fake streaming accounts? Why one media giant could be in hot water this morning, a very busy hour still ahead when Worldwide Exchange returns right after this.
Every day, visionaries are creating the future.
For people who want to feel happier, stronger, fitter, get further, faster, better. For people who want to, but don't always manage to. It doesn't matter how you want to do it, who you want to do it with. It matters that you want to. Virgin Active. We'll find a way for you. Join in September and get 15% off each month on 12-month memberships. Visit virginactive.co.uk. Participating gyms. Terms and conditions apply.
Already looking forward to next summer? At Jet2 Holidays, we love taking you to your favourite sunny destinations, including Menorca, Antalya and the Algarve. So get ahead and book summer 2020 now. Jet2 Holidays. Package holidays you can trust. ABTA and ATOL protected.
You're in charge of hiring, and Indeed has solutions, like online skills tests, which let a candidate show that they are the right hire. And we give you this toy monkey, who will bang its cymbals when the right CV appears on your desktop. Okay, there is no monkey. There is no monkey. But there are online skills tests.
See why more than 250,000 companies in the UK use Indeed for hiring. Visit Indeed.com/try today to try skills tests for free today. Terms and conditions apply.
Nurses like you love the RCNI Nursing Careers and Jobs Fair. Here's why.
It's an easy way to get your CPD hours.
There are loads of job opportunities on the day.
The free workshops are great for learning something new.
It's an event just for us. The RCNI Nursing Careers and Jobs Fair. Coming to London on the 17th and 18th of September. Register now for free entry. Search RCNI events.
What's that, Britain? You want unlimited data? Oh, you want more. You want it on the unstoppable, unbeaten, unrivaled #1 network? Well, who says you can't? Get unlimited data on EE today, the UK's unrivaled #1 network.
Unlimited data, personal use only. Terms apply. Root metrics comparison of 4 mobile networks H2 2013 to H1 2019. See ee.co.uk.
Welcome back to the show. Futures right now pointing to an ever so slight drop here for the Dow and Jones Industrial Average, down about 17 points if these futures losses hold into regular cash equities trading. We are about, yes, just 1 day away from a big decision. The FOMC gears up for day one of its 2-day policy meeting, likely culminating in another 25 basis point rate cut. The Fed under continued pressure from the president to cut rates, and last weekend's attacks in Saudi Arabia certainly adding to uncertainty for the global economy. Joining me now to talk markets ahead of the committee's big meeting is Bill Stone, Chief Investment Officer over at Avalon Investment and Advisory. Bill, is it pretty much a foregone conclusion? Are we going to cut interest rates by 0.25% at the meeting tomorrow for the Fed?
Yes, I think that the markets are already, have that well priced in, and I think we can also be rest assured that President Trump won't be happy with only a quarter, but that's probably all he's going to get.
So is there a situation right now where we see oil prices possibly rising, maybe just short or medium term, inflation starting to pick up a little bit, where the Fed maybe shouldn't be cutting interest rates? Or is this a situation where the markets really need rate cuts to keep going towards record highs?
Yeah, and I think the Fed's going to call any sort of inflation pickup we might get transitory. I think they're going to focus more, if they even talk about it at all this time, about the danger perhaps to the global economy. Because the interesting thing is, at least in the U.S., and this is interesting because it's different than it used to be not that long ago, but because of the shale revolution, you actually probably see fourth quarter GDP in the U.S. a little bit better thanks to these higher oil prices, and probably see a little bit firmer industrial production because it kind of sets a floor under that for now. The problem comes more globally, where you see maybe more pressure on, say, Europe, and then also in some of the emerging markets. I'll pick out specifically like India, that doesn't adapt as well to higher oil. Most countries use less oil. They have a hard time changing over, so you probably still see, even though we see prices go up, you still see demand stay higher.
The rally in energy stocks, energy companies, has been pretty dramatic. I mean, albeit off, yes, very admittedly depressed levels. Is this something that can continue if oil doesn't have a move that much higher from where we are right now?
Yeah, it's a tough one. We've been talking about it at Avalon, because we have some decent exposure to the energy place, which until obviously recently has been a bit painful. They can, in the sense that maybe you've got some sort of risk premium now, probably rightly so, built into some of the companies, and the fact that you have some optionality in terms of the upside. I would say we're not in a place where we necessarily chase them at this point, but we're obviously happy with the ones that we own.
If you were in a situation where you needed to put new money to work, with markets 1% away from record highs, there are underperforming parts of the market. Are you still value hunting, or are you looking for places that have now been discounted in the growth phase? So the Alphabets of the world, right, the Facebooks of the world, the Amazons, that sort of thing.
I still think the value side of the equation, so the more cyclical side, is still cheaper relative. I still think there's enough of worries about, say, the global economy, the U.S. economy, et cetera. Obviously not to the extreme that we had, but I still think you think about the industrials, consumer discretionary, because there's still some worries that some of that may crack, and obviously some of that worries picked up again here with the oil. Though, like I said, I think people should keep in mind that it is different this time. In the past, we used to say, hey, it was unequivocal that the U.S. suffered under higher oil prices. Now it's actually, we do benefit up to a point.
All right, the benefit of higher oil prices possibly for the U.S. economy. Thank you very much, Bill Stone. We appreciate your thoughts.
Thank you.
Still on deck for the show, trouble at Corning. Has that stock falling in the pre-market? We dig into why. That's coming up. But first, it's your stat of the day. 1.5 billion. That's how many iPhones Apple has sold through 2018, according to data from Statista. Apple stopped releasing iPhone unit sales at the end of last year, and its new swath of iPhones hit store shelves this Friday. Worldwide Exchange is back after this.
Can you customize the S&P 500 to meet your...
For people who want to feel happier, stronger, fitter, get further, faster, better. For people who want to, but don't always manage to. It doesn't matter how you want to do it, who you want to do it with. It matters that you want to. Virgin Active. We'll find a way for you. Join in September and get 15% off each month on 12-month memberships. Visit virginactive.co.uk. Participating gyms. Terms and conditions apply.
You're in charge of hiring, and Indeed has solutions, like online skills tests, which let a candidate show that they are the right hire. And we give you this toy monkey, who will bang its symbols when the right CV appears on your desktop. Okay, there is no monkey. There is no monkey. But there are online skills tests.
See why more than 250,000 companies in the UK use Indeed for hiring. Visit Indeed.com/try today to try skills tests for free today. Terms and conditions apply.
We could play epic music, or we could speak in an overdramatic tone, or even set off fireworks. But that's just not smarty. Instead, we let our offer do the talking. Right now, you can grab 25% off our unlimited data SIM. That's just $18.75 a month with no speed restrictions, no credit check, and no long contract to tie you in. Now that's smarty. Just search Smarty Mobile and switch today. It's easy. Offer available for a limited time only. See smarty.co.uk for terms.
This one shouldn't take long. Of course, if it had a cover, I might not be bothered. Can't see what's under there. And they'd have chained the back wheel. It would have taken me much longer, especially if the chain's off the ground. Makes it harder to cut. This one doesn't even have a lock on the front. So, in the time I've been talking to you, I've nicked it.
Over 9,000 scooters and motorbikes were stolen in London last year. Lock your bike, chain the rear wheel, and cover it to make it harder to steal. Lock, chain, cover. The Met Police.
Summer wardrobe weather struggles? Introducing convertible wellies. 1 minute they're Wellington boots, the next, flip-flops.
Convertible wellies never going to happen, is it? But with the new BP Me Rewards card, getting more of the summer essentials you love more often will. Search BP Me Rewards to find out more.
All right, let's get a check on some of the big stock moves this morning. Corning cutting its sales forecast for the year for materials found in TV sets and fiber optic cables. The company says several major telecom companies have reduced capital spending on installing new cable lines and fiber networks in homes. Corning also says customers are being more conservative in buying display panels due to macro uncertainty. Those shares off by about 10% pre-market. We've also got now shares of Shopify down about 5%. After the company announced a secondary stock offering. The e-commerce platform plans to use the proceeds to shore up its balance sheet and help fund expansions there, so off by about 5%. And then SeaWorld says CEO Gustavo Anchora is leaving the company after just 7 months on the job. He had been a top executive at Carnival Cruise Lines. SeaWorld has been dealing with a series of leadership changes over the past few years as it works to move past the fallout the documentary caused with the blackfish, and it had on its business there. Those shares just about flat pre-market. Well, still to come, why last weekend's attacks in Saudi Arabia could give China new impetus to make a deal to end the trade war. And then later on, Netflix paying big bucks for close talkers, anti-dentites, and yes, soup Nazis. The price tag you have to see to believe when Worldwide Exchange returns after this break.
For people who want to feel happier, stronger, fitter, get further, faster, better. For people who want to, but don't always manage to. It doesn't matter how you want to do it, who you want to do it with. It matters that you want to. Virgin Active. We'll find a way for you. Join in September and get 15% off each month on 12-month memberships. Visit virginactive.co.uk. Participating gyms. Terms and conditions apply.
Already looking forward to next summer? At Jet2 Holidays, we love taking you to your favourite sunny destinations, including Menorca, Antalya and the Algarve. So get ahead and book summer 2020 now. Jet2 Holidays. Package holidays you can trust. Abtronatal protected.
You're in charge of hiring, and Indeed has solutions, like online skills tests, which let a candidate show that they are the right hire. And we give you this toy monkey, who will bang its symbols when the right CV appears on your desktop. Okay, there is no monkey. There is no monkey. But there are online skills tests.
See why more than 250,000 companies in the UK use Indeed for hiring. Visit Indeed.com/try today to try skills tests for free today. Terms and conditions apply.
Dreaming of a new kitchen? At Wix, we take care of everything, from expert design to an installation service you can trust. And there's a great price. Right now, there's up to 50% off kitchen installation. Speak to us today and get your kitchen installed for Christmas. For minimum spend, terms and exclusions, see wix.co.uk.
1 in 4 children believe potatoes grow on trees. 1 in 5 children believe fish fingers are made from chicken. And 1 in 8 adults believe the moon landings didn't happen. People believe all sorts of strange things. Some people believe that insurance companies try to avoid paying claims. But last year, Zurich paid 99% of insurance claims made by their UK customers. Zurich, an insurance company you can believe in. To find out more, visit zurich.co.uk/99.
We could play epic music, or we could speak in an overdramatic tone, or even set off fireworks. But that's just not smarty. Instead, we let our offer do the talking. Right now, you can grab 25% off our unlimited data SIM. That's just $18.75 a month with no speed restrictions, no credit check, and no long contract to tie you in. Now that's smarty. Just search Smarty Mobile and switch today. It's easy. Offer available for a limited time only. See smarty.co.uk for terms.
Markets are stable this morning. If everything holds true into the opening bell, the Dow Jones would be down by about 11 points. The S&P just about flat, and the Nasdaq down by 5 points as well. Still to come on the show, a live report from Saudi Arabia as the country's energy minister is set to deliver an update on last weekend's big attacks there. Plus, a CNBC exclusive with one of the top LNG producers in the United States. The CEO of Cheniere Energy is coming up when Worldwide Exchange returns right after this.
This one shouldn't take long. Of course, if it had a cover, I might not be bothered. Can't see what's under there. And they'd have chained the back wheel. It would have taken me much longer, especially if the chain's off the ground. Makes it harder to cut. This one doesn't even have a lock on the front. So, in the time I've been talking to you, I've nicked it.
Over 9,000 scooters and motorbikes were stolen in London last year. Lock your bike, chain the rear wheel, and cover it to make it harder to steal. Lock, chain, cover. The Met Police.
When it comes to keeping your small business valuable information safe, Dell Small Business Technology Advisors can recommend tailored security solutions, like computers with Intel Core processors, servers, storage, networking, plus industry-leading monitors and software. Running your own small business is a big challenge, but with the right partner, it's a lot easier. To speak with an advisor today, call 0800 085 4878. That's 0800 085 4878.
There's another word that the S in Audi S-Line stands for: seductively priced. Take the Audi A6 Avant S-Line. With matrix LED headlights, 19-inch alloys and leather front sport seats, it starts from just £419 per month, initial rental £2,514. The seductively priced Audi A6 Avant S-Line. Test drive yours at West London Audi, or search Audi S-Line. Audi, Vorsprung durch Technik. 4-year contract hire agreement and 10,000 miles per annum, 18s and over, subject to status. Damage charges may apply. Order by 30th of September 2019. No ownership. Finance providers may pay us as a broker for introducing you. Audi Finance. Visit audi.co.uk.
Yakult is created using mystical arts. Firstly, summon the spirits with tranquil Then one must thrice bang the spiritual gong. Lastly, bring forth the ancient all-seeing cow. Should it give a magical moo, Yakult will be delivered to you.
Don't be ridiculous. Yakult was made by a Japanese scientist with unique bacteria scientifically proven to reach the gut alive. Yakult, a little bottle of science, not magic.
No talks at any level. Iran's supreme leader lashing out at America after new reports indicate the Saudi Arabia oil strikes originated from Iran. Cue the cut. Jay Powell set to kick off the Fed's two-day policy meeting as the central bank faces new risks to U.S. growth. And youth vaping crackdown. Another state moves to stop teen vaping as officials continue to turn the pressure up on the entire industry. It is Tuesday, September 17th, 2019. You are watching Worldwide Exchange right here on CNBC. Welcome back to the show. I'm Dominic Chu in for Brian Sullivan this morning. Let's get a check on this morning's other top headlines. NBC's Francis Rivera live in the New York newsroom with the latest. Good morning, Francis.
Hey, Dom. Good morning to you. We start with President Trump, who is heading into hostile territory in the race for 2020. He has scheduled a whirlwind tour across California to load up his re-election war chest at several sold-out fundraisers in San Francisco and Los Angeles. It comes the day after he made his pitch to Hispanic voters at a rally just outside of Albuquerque. The president's campaign is looking to win over light blue states like New Mexico and Nevada, in case he loses a swing state like Wisconsin. Voters in Israel are going to the polls for a do-over presidential election. Benjamin Netanyahu is hoping to win re-election and become the country's longest-serving prime minister. It would be his 5th term in office. In April, Netanyahu secured a narrow win, but failed to build a majority coalition in parliament, and a new election was called. Today's vote could be just as close. Netanyahu's challenger is former Israeli military chief of staff Benny Gantz, and the two are neck and neck in the polls. Now imagine setting a world record using only your thumbs. Watch this Georgian athlete. He performed 59 thumb push-ups in under 1 minute, smashing the current Guinness record of 43. Georgian authorities confirmed his result and have submitted to Guinness for an official world record title. The new champ said he was happy, but he hopes to be able to do 100 thumb-ups next time, so not bad for being all thumbs with all those push-up, Dom.
Francis, it might actually inspire me to get back to the gym at some point in the
Just
near
doing
future.
a basic push-up in
There
that
you go.
case.
Just one push-up is okay for me. Francis Rivera, thank you very much for that. Here's how your money looks right now as we are halfway through the 5 a.m. hour in New York. Stock futures indicating a relatively flat open. The Dow comes off its first down day in 8. The Dow would open down by about 11 points if these futures losses hold into the opening bell. We continue to watch energy. That sector coming off its best day since January as we saw oil prices soar following those attacks in Saudi Arabia. Much more on that coming up in the show. And then the bond side of things, always key as the Fed kicks off a 2-day policy meeting for interest rates. The 10-year note yield currently, we're just about 1.82%. The 2-year note yield 1.75% as well. Let's get a check on the Asian markets. The Nikkei in Japan was relatively flat. However, we did see downside moves in Shanghai and Hang Seng, and we also see what's happening in the early trade in Europe as well. We're seeing a little bit of stability in certain key bourses there. The German DAX right now focusing just a little bit to the flat side of things, the CAC in France as well. To this morning's top story, new developments in the fallout from the Saudi Arabia oil attacks. The country's energy minister is set to hold a press conference later on today on the attacks at the Aramco facilities, which have cut the company's oil supply by about 50%. This as Iran's supreme leader says there will be no talks with the U.S. at any level at the upcoming UN General Assembly meeting in New York. This follows a new NBC News report that sources close to U.S. intelligence officials indicate the attacks originated from Iran. President Trump, however, not ready for a military response just yet, speaking at the White House yesterday.
Well, we have a lot of options, but I'm not looking at options right now. We want to find definitively who did this. We're dealing with Saudi Arabia. We're dealing with the Crown Prince and so many other of your neighbors. And we're all talking about it together. We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. Our own Hadley Gamble joins us now from Saudi Arabia. So what is the kingdom doing right now? What are they evaluating? And are they at least looking towards the possibility that Iran is responsible for this?
Well, Dom, there are so many moving parts to this story. As you mentioned, we're not just talking about the energy ministry and Saudi Aramco. We're also talking about the foreign ministry as well. And the king's ministers, King Salman's ministers, have been meeting in conclave essentially for days now in Jeddah. We're going to head out there just a few hours from now for the press conference that you mentioned. This is something that was called this morning, that the energy minister and certain Aramco officials will be on site to answer reporters' questions. And I have to tell you, it does speak to the significance of how big this is in the Saudi sort of mine mill that they're calling this press conference, because they've actually chartered a flight just so they can get all of us out there. Now, it's going to be interesting to see in terms of what kind of questions are going to be answered at this press conference. Are we going to hear about production and output? Are we going to talk about really a timeline for getting that output back online? And frankly, how much damage was really done here? Another question, of course, is what's happening in the geopolitical sphere. And it really, if you wanted to know anything about this story and how quickly it's going to start developing over the coming days, you just have to look at the president's statements there. I mean, he's essentially said he's sending his Secretary of State to Riyadh to talk with the king, to talk with the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, to walk through exactly what happened here, what U.S. intelligence is suggesting happened. The president hasn't held back, nor has Mike Pompeo, in blaming Tehran squarely for these terror attacks at Saudi Aramco sites. And it's interesting, the response that we finally got from the Saudi Foreign Ministry in a statement overnight. They were essentially saying that, yes, the weapons used in the attacks, they confirmed that they are from Iran, but they stopped short of blaming Tehran directly. So in those conversations, no doubt, there's still some wiggle room and some way to go in terms of getting everyone on board there. But I thought it was really, really interesting that in the last few hours, we also heard from the UAE, who's remained pretty silent over the weekend, saying that the international community has a role here when it comes to the misbehaviors of Tehran. Don?
All right, Hadley, Aramco, we've talked about this idea that they could try to be at least taking the company public at some point in the future. This is a massive blow to them. Are there talks within the Saudi ranks with the officials there about whether or not the Aramco IPO, if it were to happen, is going to be significantly impacted because of this particular terror attack?
No doubt those conversations are happening, because at the end of the day, Saudi Aramco, it's really this country, as you know very well, the separation between church and state. That's the conversation of the IPO of Aramco. Is it possible? The transparency, making sure that 5% of the Aramco deal would really essentially be free of government intervention. It would operate like a proper public company. That's been the conversation since this was announced a couple of years ago by the Crown Prince. This is all part of his Saudi Vision 2030. The fact that they are so vulnerable to terror attacks, to any kind of military attack, is a problem for the Saudis, no doubt, and one, of course, which is going to be continually discussed, no doubt, at these meetings in Jeddah.
All right, Hadley Gamble live in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Thank you very much for that. Saudi Arabia and a disruption in the world's energy supply, not the only risk factor facing investors right now. We are also bracing for the next Federal Reserve policy decision, the ongoing U.S.-China trade war and its impact on global growth. All of those things very much at play. Joining me now, Oppenheimer Asset Management Chief Investment Strategist John Stolfus. John, we've noticed that there's at least a little bit of perhaps stability in the marketplace. We're 1% away from record highs, yet all of these risks still remain. Is this just the classic market cliche, markets love climbing walls of worry?
I think so, Dominic. When we look at it, some of the things that we find remarkable, if you consider, with a 5% hit essentially on global oil over the weekend, is that gold is actually just a little over $1,500 an ounce. So it's off its recent high of $1,550. You've got Bitcoin at $10,200 or so. When you look at the environment, as you just said, the S&P 500 near record highs, with technology up 30% on a year-to-date basis, real estate up almost 25%, communication services around 23%, and industrials up 22.7%. So the markets are telling us this is another pothole in the road, so to speak. I'd say a little bit more than a speed bump. It has risks. And I think it highlights the geopolitical risk and the vulnerability of infrastructure due to geopolitical tensions, which is significant. But so far, so good. It's well digested.
Can we talk about the quality of this rally towards record highs again? The only reason why I bring it up is because there's a view out there among some traders that this particular move higher may not be as popular, right? Because it's not the growth or those cyclical, economically sensitive stocks that are really driving a lot of the action, the traditional leadership in the marketplace, the FANG stocks, all of those. In this sector rotation that's been happening, is this a quality move higher if it's those value sectors and those value stocks that are driving the action upside right now?
I'd say it's more of